Today, we're diving deep into the mystery surrounding Luffy's origins, which is tied to the enigma from 800 years ago. Wondering why Joy Boy from 800 years back could foresee future events? That might just be the key to unlocking the mystery of Luffy's birth. Alright, today's main event, Joy Boy's existence and the messages he left behind. Ever wondered how the info he dropped 800 years ago impacts the current world of One Piece? Let's unravel the hidden truths together. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Please note that this includes spoilers from Chapter 1064 and the movie film Red, so be cautious. Stick around till the end, you won't want to miss it. Hey everyone, how about we give a name to that last island no one could reach 800 years ago? Let's call it Laugh-Tale. Galdi, Roger, the Roger pirates completed a journey around the world and finally reached Laugh-Tale. There, they discovered immense treasure, the Void Century, ancient weapons, and the D families. They got to know everything about the world. At the same time, Roger and his crew learned about the existence of a huge battle that would engulf the world. In over 20 years, there's probably going to be a massive battle that could split the Great Seas. Odin, a massive battle that will probably be depicted in the final chapter. Roger and his crew knew this battle would happen 20 years into the future. Moreover, in Chapter 968, until now, this isolationism had meaning. But we must open up the country before the day Joy Boy appears again. Odin, from what Odin said after reaching Laugh-Tale, it's thought that they learned about the appearance of a new Joy Boy on Laugh-Tale. This revelation about the great battle and the emergence of a new Joy Boy. These two pieces of information were left on Laugh-Tale, and without a doubt, the one who left them was Joy Boy from 800 years ago. But if you think about it calmly, something feels off. Why could Joy Boy predict that a new Joy Boy would appear and a huge battle would occur in this era 800 years later? Even if there were someone like the Fishman Islands fortune teller surely, who could predict the future, foretelling such a distant future is a bit far-fetched. That's right, there might be some incredible secret hidden in how Joy Boy from 800 years ago could pinpoint this prophecy so accurately. And unraveling that secret leads us to some shocking information. It's about the truth behind Luffy's birth. So today, we'll delve into the possibility of Joy Boy predicting 800 years into the future and explore the truth behind Luffy's birth. Speaking of 20 years or more in the future, a colossal battle that will probably divide the Great Sea will occur. Odin, the massive battle foretold by Joy Boy's prophecy to happen 800 years later. Before touching on the reason it could be foreseen, let's first check what is necessary for this massive battle to make it easier to understand. There are mainly 4 things necessary for a massive battle. 1. Ancient weapons. 2. Gum fruit. 3. Joy Boy's vessel. 4. Straw hat. I will explain each one. First, about the ancient weapons. The ancient weapons that have been revealed in the story so far are Pluton, Poseidon, and Uranus. Regarding Pluton, in Chapter 1055, in other words, opening the country means breaking the country's defensive wall, releasing the ancient weapon Odin by Tenguyama Hitetsu, now known as Kazuki Sukiyaki. It is said to be slumbering deep underground in the Wano country, and it has been revealed that opening the country equal releasing the Pluton slumbering in Wano's underground. From this, the Kazuki family must release the ancient weapon Pluton in preparation for the colossal battle. In other words, Pluton is indeed necessary for the massive battle. Also, the being that can break the defensive wall of Wano country is almost certainly Zunisha. This is because, in the words of the 5 elders in Chapter 1052, is it true that Zunisha has disappeared? Then there is no opening of the country. 5 elders. From this line, it's clear that Zunisha is indispensable for the opening of Wano. And the only one who can command Zunisha in the story is Kazuki Momonosuke. Considering that even his father Odin could not command, there is no doubt that Momonosuke is a very significant figure. In this way, Zunisha, who can release Pluton, and Momonosuke, who can command Zunisha, these two, like Pluton, are thought to be necessary for the massive battle. Next, about Poseidon. Although Poseidon, like Pluton, does not have a portrayal of being released when the time comes, the poneglyph in the Fishman Island Sea Forest. It was an apology from Joy Boy, so it's understood that there was a deep relationship with Joy Boy. And now, Mermaid Princess Shirahoshi has awakened as Poseidon at this timing. 800 years after the massive battle will occur, From this, it's undeniable that it will somehow be involved in the colossal battle. Finally, about Uranus, information about Uranus has hardly been revealed at all. However, so far, it seems that Pluton and Poseidon are necessary for the colossal battle. Therefore, Uranus, also being an ancient weapon, has a high likelihood of being necessary for the colossal battle. Next, about the Gumgum fruit. Wano country, no, the world is waiting for a certain person. When that person appears, overcoming 800 years of time, it must be a country that can welcome and cooperate. Odin. From this line, it's understood that the massive battle that will occur 800 years later is not only in Wano country but a battle that will involve the world, and the person who appears there is Joy Boy. However, it's not the Joy Boy from 800 years ago but the modern Joy Boy. In other words, a person like the reincarnation of Joy Boy will appear. And in chapter 1043, Zenatia's words, "I hear the drum of liberation. I hear it for the first time in 800 years, there's no mistake. Joy Boy is there. Joy Boy has returned." Looking at Luffy, awakened as Nika, Zenatia said, "Joy Boy has returned." From this, the modern Joy Boy equal the person who ate the Gumgum fruit and awakened as Nika. In other words, the existence of Gumgum fruit, or rather, the human fruit, mythical Zoan model Nika, is also something indispensable for the colossal battle. Thirdly, regarding the vessel of Joy Boy. Luffy, who once was on the brink of death in his battle with Kaido, was resurrected with the sound of a drum-like heartbeat, Don Dodado, awakening as the sun god Nika. Tsunacia, who saw this, stated that Luffy was Joy Boy, which almost confirms that Luffy is the modern Joy Boy. So, as I explained earlier, it was necessary for Luffy to eat the Gumgum fruit and awaken as Nika to become Joy Boy. But what I want to focus on here is the conversation of the 5 elders in chapter 1043. The Gumgum fruit has been attempted to be recovered by the world government in every era, but it never ended up in their hands. It's as if the devil's fruit is running away from us. It's not unlikely that animal-based fruits contain a will. As can be understood from this conversation, the Gumgum fruit with its will has been evading the world government for 800 years, eventually reaching Luffy. No, the Gumgum fruit stolen from the enemy ship. Lucky Roo, the first episode depicted Luffy eating the Gumgum fruit as if by accident. It was no accident that Luffy ate the Gumgum fruit. The will dwelling in the fruit chose Luffy. You can see it that way. In other words, Luffy was the vessel chosen by the Gumgum fruit as Joy Boy's vessel. And as I keep saying, Joy Boy is a necessary existence for a massive battle. So Luffy, being that vessel, is also considered indispensable for a huge battle. Finally, regarding the straw hat, which is also Luffy's trademark. This hat, which appeared to be just an ordinary straw hat, was revealed to have been worn by Roger in chapter 603. Furthermore, there is a frozen giant straw hat in Mary Jiwaza's Pangaea Castle, and it was depicted that Imu-sama was looking at it. From this, we can imagine that there is an incredible secret hidden in the straw hat that we don't know yet, and it is highly likely that it is significantly involved in the core of the One Piece story. Furthermore, the fact that Luffy, the modern Joy Boy, is wearing such a straw hat. The straw hat may also be an important item in a massive battle. That's how I've seen it, but let me summarize up to here. Ancient weapons related: 1. Pluton. 2. Tsunacia that releases Pluton. 3. Momonosuke who can command Tsunacia. 4. Poseidon. 5. Uranus. And 6. Gumgum fruit. 7. Joy Boy's vessel. 8. Straw hat. When all these 8 things come together, a massive battle can occur, and the world can be turned upside down. And Joy Boy of 800 years ago prophesied this huge battle. In other words, he was able to pinpoint that the timing when all 8 things come together would be 800 years later. But why is that? From here, let's consider the reason Joy Boy was able to prophesy. The reason Joy Boy could prophesy 800 years later with pinpoint accuracy. The first possibility that comes to mind is the existence of the prophet Madame Shirley. The Sea-King is raging because it's waiting for the mermaid princess to be born. Madame Shirley prophesied the birth of the mermaid princess, Poseidon, who is born once every few hundred years, and it was spot on. She also prophesied that the gates of Fishman Island would be destroyed by someone when Roger and his crew visited, that many pirates would come to the island a year before the Great Pirate Era began, among other accurate predictions. From this, was there not a mermaid who could prophesy in the same way 800 years ago? In other words, did Joy Boy 800 years ago prophesy 800 years later with the power of that mermaid? Such a possibility can be considered. Furthermore, when thinking about the keyword future, there was one existence that cannot be ignored. Yes, it's the time fruit. People can never go back to the past, but they can go to the future. Toki, the ability of the time fruit to send the target to a specific future. If this power was used to send one of the necessary existences for a massive battle 800 years into the future, could such a story be considered? 800 years ago, a massive kingdom realizing defeat in the battle with the world government. In the midst of that, an unbelievable future seen by a prophet. That is, 800 years later, a massive battle that engulfs the world would erupt, turning the world upside down. Believing in that future, the massive kingdom used the ability of the time fruit to send the most crucial of the 8 necessary existences to 800 years later, ensuring it reached the future. How about that? By the way, if something really was sent 800 years into the future, it must have been sent by the user of the time fruit, Toki Amatsuki. In other words, Toki knew all about the plan, but I'll explain more about this later. Anyway, if this hypothesis is correct, what was sent to the future 800 years later is a great concern. And by thoroughly delving into this, the truth about Luffy's birth, which I mentioned at the beginning, will become clear. What was sent 800 years into the future using the time ability? What is it? To cut to the chase, it's the vessel of Joy Boy, Monkey, Luffy. Wait, Luffy is from 800 years ago? That can't be. You might think so, but consider the 8 entities I mentioned earlier necessary for a massive battle. Pluton, Zunatia, Momonosuke, Poseidon, Uranus, the Gum Fruit, the Straw Hat, and Luffy as Joy Boy's vessel. When all of these align, it's believed the world will turn on its head. Thus, among these, there must be something sent to the future via time ability. Upon closer inspection, you'd realize the only plausible candidate is Luffy, Joy Boy's vessel. How can this be? Let's delve into each one. Firstly, regarding Pluton, it was the Kazuki family who, a long time ago, isolated this country from the outer seas. They did so to protect Wano from a formidable power, Odin. From this, it's clear that Wano's isolation happened 800 years ago. If opening the nation equates to Pluton's release, then sealing the nation may mean Pluton's confinement. Therefore, Pluton might have been kept within Wano's depths for all these 800 years, making its chance of being sent by time's fruit nil. Next, Zunatia. Zunatia has been roaming the seas for 1,000 years as punishment for a certain crime. Furthermore, the Mink tribe resides on its back in the Mokomo Dukedom, so Zunatia is ruled out. Then Momonosuke. He's born. Your name is Kazuki Momonosuke, Odin. From chapter 965, it's evident that Momonosuke was born on Whitebeard's ship as Odin's child. So there's zero possibility he came from 800 years prior. Also about Poseidon or Shirahoshi, just like Momonosuke in chapter 621, she's shown as the offspring of King Neptune and Queen Otohime. Hence, she couldn't have been sent from 800 years ago. Then Uranus. Currently, there's scant information on Uranus. However, the mysterious force that obliterated the Lulusha Kingdom in chapter 1060 is rumored to be Uranus, a highly plausible theory. If true, it indicates the world government or Imu-sama possesses it. Given that Joy Boy stood against the world government 800 years ago, it seems improbable to send an enemy-owned Uranus into the future. As for the Gum Fruit, the world government has always tried to modify the Gum Fruit, but never succeeded. This has been the case for 800 years. This statement from the 5 elders solidifies the fruit's existence over the past 800 years, negating the possibility of it being sent through time. And the Straw Hat, previously discussed, this hat has transitioned from Gold D. Roger Dushanks and now to Luffy. It's unlikely to have originated 800 years ago. So for Pluton, Zunatia, Momonosuke, Poseidon, Uranus, Gum Fruit, and the Straw Hat, all have been around or were born within these 800 years. Thus, the likelihood of them being transported by time's ability is non-existent. What remains is a sole entity. Yes, that's right. It's Monkey D. Luffy, the vessel of Joy Boy. This suggests that Luffy, the protagonist of One Piece, might actually hail from 800 years ago. An extraordinary revelation to ponder upon. From the evidence discussed so far, we deduce the reason Joy Boy was able to prophesize the massive battle that would occur 800 years later. After examining the 8 vital entities required for this colossal battle, a startling possibility arises. Luffy, as the vessel for Joy Boy, might have been sent from 800 years in the past. Though this hypothesis seems incredible, there are probably many who remain unconvinced. However, when collecting information from the series and official sources about Luffy's birth, this wild theory starts to gain more credibility than you'd think. The first point of interest is Luffy's childhood in the Fusa village. During his time there, young Luffy gave off the impression of being an orphan all alone. In movies like Filmrid and special anime episodes, we see him eagerly waiting for Shanks and Uda, appearing rather lonely. Moreover, in chapter 584, there's a conversation between a young Luffy and Ace. "You have parents, Ace?" "None except Gramps." Clearly Luffy states he has no family other than his grandfather. So this perpetually solitary and seemingly lonely young Luffy might not have parents after all. Wait a minute, isn't Dragon Luffy's father? Yes, that's a common objection. Indeed, Dragon is recognized as Luffy's father. However, Luffy only became aware of his father's existence after rescuing Robin during the Enies Lobby arc. "Huh? A dad? What's that?" "I have a dad." Garp told him, and this was seemingly the first time Luffy realized he had a father. Another intriguing point comes from the character Vivaric card published by Shueisha. For those who have it, please refer to Dragon's card, especially the history section. It says, "Before 55, born as Garp's son." That's consistent. However, looking at Luffy's Vivaric card, there's no mention of him being born as Dragon's son. Interestingly, Luffy has 6 different Vivaric cards, and none of them mention his birth. In contrast, Sanji's card states before 21, born in the South Seas Jarma Kingdom. Jinbei's says before 46, born in Fishman District. Ace's mentions before 22, born to Roger and Roosh. Yet, strangely enough, there's no mention of Luffy's birth anywhere. Is Oda-sensei hiding something about Luffy's birth? Returning to Dragon's card, it reads before 19, becomes Luffy's father. This phrasing is ambiguous. It could imply that, while not his biological father, Dragon adopted or took care of Luffy, making him a father figure. From this, a possibility arises that 19 years ago Luffy, in some manner, was found by Dragon. Perhaps Dragon found Luffy after he had been sent from 800 years ago using the time ability. This would make Dragon Luffy's adoptive father, with his real parents coming from 800 years prior. So Luffy's parents might not have been around during his time in Fusa Village. Being alone is harder than being hurt. This could explain why young Luffy always seemed so lonesome. By the way, Garp, Dragon, and Luffy all share the Monkey D name. Dragon aside, Garp and Luffy share many similarities in terms of personality, suggesting a blood relation. But instead of Luffy taking after Garp, what if it's the other way around? If Luffy is an elder of the monkey family, it would make sense. If Luffy truly did come from 800 years ago, he likely had no memory of it and must have been sent as an infant. However, considering the theory that Luffy came from 800 years ago, it initially seems contradictory. Regarding his real father, if Luffy is indeed the vessel for Joy Boy, might it be plausible to think he's the son of the original Joy Boy from 800 years ago? So far, we have speculated that Luffy might have been sent from 800 years ago to the power of the time ability and was found by Dragon. Why was it necessary to send Luffy? What exactly happened 800 years ago? A possible story might go like this. A massive kingdom cornered by the world government. Realizing their impending defeat, they believed in an outrageous prophecy and hatched a grand plan. The plan was to gather all 8 essential items to overturn the world 800 years later and defeat the world government in a massive battle. The most crucial entity to execute this plan was Monkey D. Luffy, just born and meant to be the vessel for Joy Boy. He was sent 800 years into the future using the time ability to grow as Joy Boy. By the time he had gathered allies to topple the world government, he left all the knowledge of the world in Raftel. Fast forward to modern times. The baby Luffy who flew from 800 years ago was found and raised by Dragon. Led by fate, he ate the gum fruit and finally awakened as Nika. Perhaps, as the modern-day Joy Boy, he might challenge the world government. What do you think? This is the grand plan of Joy Boy to send Luffy 800 years into the future. And the truth about Luffy's origin we've deduced. As mentioned earlier, the person who sent Luffy, Toki, must have known about this entire plan. Yet, for some reason, Toki arrived not 800 years later, but about 30 years ago, which is 770 years later. You might feel a bit odd about this, considering she knew the plan. However, it makes sense when you see what Toki achieved. She met Kazuki Oden and gave birth to Momonosuke, the key to releasing Pluton. I have been traveling to the future using this mysterious time ability, and I've finally reached the end of my journey. Toki, that's right, Toki might have had a mission to meet Oden and give birth to Momonosuke. By the way, Luffy was sent to Fusa Village on Dawn Island 800 years later using the time ability. In chapter 920, there's a depiction of Momonosuke and others who were sent 20 years into the future arriving at the ruins of Oden Castle. From this, we can infer that the time ability sends one to the future of their current location. And Luffy's Vivricard definitely states his place of origin as Fusa Village. This means Luffy was born in Fusa Village 800 years ago, and from this fact, we can deduce only one possibility. Dawn Island and Fusa Village might have a profound connection with the Massive Kingdom and the Void Century. The village chief of Fusa Village, Whoop Slap, might also be someone who knows something about Luffy's origin. Look at Luffy's happy face, Chief. Makino, pirates will be pirates. Whoop Slap, but that's his dream. Are you worried? Makino, is it a dream or fate? Whoop Slap, that's all for today. This channel posts summaries, explanations, and ranking videos related to One Piece. If you like One Piece, we would be happy if you could support us by subscribing to our channel and commenting. Thank you for watching till the end. See you in the next video.